Personification. Doubtless most of you remember this term from English classes at high school. I refer to the projection of human behaviours onto non-human subjects. This occurs often enough that most of us pay little attention to it. Novice writers may be wary of it, since it is hard to do convincingly. However, if used artfully enough, it can enhance our experience of the narrative. Sir Terry Pratchett is rightfully regarded as one of the giants of comic fantasy. He is probably best known for the Discworld series, which spanned 41 volumes at the time of his death. For those not in the know, this is a satirical fantasy series set in a world where creatures of the imagination are alive and, in some cases, kicking. Aside from his whimsical sense of humour, one area I believe that Pratchett really excelled was in the use of personification in order to show us the inner conflicts of his characters. And who wouldn't have a few issues if they were apprenticed to death, i.e. the Grim Reaper himself? This is precisely the situation that the title character of the fourth Discworld novel, Mort, finds himself in. With few other prospects in life, he accepts the offer to help with ushering souls into the next world. Death provides his apprentice with room and board, and Mort begins to get the hang of his job. Like most people, however, Mort finds it difficult to accept that there is no justice in death, and makes the mistake of sparing someone who should have died. Reality is thrown out of kilter, and it doesn't help the looming catastrophe that Death himself has been recently neglecting what he refers to as the duty. I have picked 3 quotes that really demonstrate the precarious position Mort finds himself in as he is forced to take on more and more of his master's responsibilities. Try to remember, for instance, your first crush. This is how Mort's first sight of Princess Keli is described in the novel. She wasn't exactly beautiful, being over-endowed in the freckle department and frankly, rather on the skinny side. But the sight of her caused a shock that hot-wired Mort's hindbrain and drove it all the way to the pit of his stomach, laughing nastily. This stands out to me as the perfect way of describing how easily our emotions can get the better of us. The clear implication is that Mort has developed a crush on this princess who he has only had a brief glimpse of. The description of the hindbrain being driven indicates that the poor kid's feelings are entirely beyond his control. This is what causes that so-called love at first sight, so beloved of romance novelists. Unfortunately, all that this crush leads to is trouble. Now we will consider a piece of text that occurs after Mort peruses Death's library to check if he did the right thing by sparing Keli from an early death. Reading the princess autobiography, which stops abruptly at the moment of her death, confirms that he hasn't. Once upon a time, Mort would have found it eerie that the autobiographies were writing themselves. Now it demonstrated that the universe was running smoothly. His conscience, which had been looking for an opening, gleefully reminded him that, alright, it might be running smoothly, but it certainly wasn't heading in the right direction. One final piece of text to consider, this time just after Mort learns that reality is trying to fix his mistake, i.e. make sure that Keli dies. Logic would have told Mort that here was his salvation. Logic would have told him that interfering with the process a second time would only make things worse. Logic would have said all that if only Logic hadn't decided to take the night off too. What we can learn from this paragraph is that Mort is still uncomfortable with the responsibilities of being Death's apprentice. The princess should already be dead. Mort is unable to accept this. He feels that there must still be some way to save the princess from her untimely end. The sad truth is that much of the time our decisions have nothing to do with logic, especially when you know that something terrible is about to happen. Now, I would like to take this opportunity to talk about personification in my own work. For a bit of context, the following quotes are from a story about an unstoppable alien moss that is slowly but surely covering the entire world. Nothing humanity does can stop it for long, and eventually the last humans are forced to take refuge at the poles. Later in the story, I have followed the lives of those survivors who have taken refuge in the Antarctic. By this time, no humans remain in the Northern Hemisphere. After resigning himself to death, Adam, the main character of the novel, is forced to take action to defend himself and two others from the attentions of a fanatic gunman. Is there any remaining hope for humankind? I have chosen 3 quotes to best encapsulate the unstoppable nature of the invading organism. Here, for instance, is a description of a man being covered in the rapidly growing moss. The man screamed and tried to wrench his hand free, but it was no good. The moss held to him as if it were made of concrete. By nightfall, the sinister substance had claimed its first victim. I feel the need to specify that the alien in the story is not, in fact, capable of intelligent thought. What is in fact occurring is that a man is simply in the way of its growth. However, in order to clarify that humans are indeed attempting to fight the moss, I have given human attributes to it. By describing the moss as holding, then claiming a man as its victim, I have given the impression that malevolence guides its actions. Plus, the conflict feels significantly more personal than a mere natural disaster. Will the moss be stopped by the extreme cold of the Antarctic continent? This is what Adam, one of the last survivors, has been living in the hope of. He has seen a boat coming, which brings hope of rescue from slow starvation on the base. What happens next makes it clear that nowhere is truly safe from the invader. With a thundering crack, the ice was torn asunder and the boat was flung into the air like a children's toy. Adam had never seen the moss before, but it was impossible to mistake that clinging wave of death for anything else. All that is going on in this paragraph is that the moss is undergoing another growth spurt. If I said as much, that would make for rather boring storytelling. Therefore, I have made it sound as though the moss is being deliberately malevolent, smashing up the ice in order to get at its victims. Human artifacts are thrown aside, demonstrating our impotence in the face of this threat. Our species is truly powerless to avert the coming apocalypse. I have chosen one final quote to illustrate my use of personification. Here the moss is spreading across the ice, coming ever closer to the Antarctic base. Now that its conquest was almost complete, the moss had accelerated its growth as if it could hardly wait to be done with this miserable planet. Endowing a mindless natural force of consciousness, as I have done, might give the impression that it is capable of reason, but this one's actions are not reasonable in the slightest. It is a tyrant, a ruthless conqueror that is rapidly ousting us from our world. By portraying the purple moss as an actively malevolent entity, I have made my audience far more sympathetic to humanity's plight. Although frequently overlooked, I feel that personification is one of the greatest tools in the writer's arsenal. I would recommend using it to establish the mood of a story or to reveal a character's inner struggles. Thank you for your time.